The crow is now knocking with something, demanding to be let in, and it's a vicious little sod. I don't know what its problem is, but it's got one. And the boy does not want to find out what he will do if he goes out of the car, so he's got no choice. He starts the car, begins to drive down the farm track away from his house, trying to lose the thing. We start to go faster, but the crow's still knocking on the roof. 10 miles an hour. Puts it into first or second or whatever gear, I don't drive. Whatever gear you put it in, to get it to 20 miles an hour. And he's careering down the farm track. He turns out onto the main road. He drives up there a bit. Still the crow knocking. And through the rear view mirror, he can see black feathers streaming out behind him. 30 miles an hour, 40, onto the dual carriageway now, swerving this way and that to get rid of the crow, but it's on his tail, on his head more like. 50 miles an hour, he turns off the dual carriageway down an old disused farm track that he's never seen before. He turns left, he turns right, he takes a selection of random turns to find a way of losing this bloody crow, the way I'm losing this narrative slide. And he finds himself eventually bursting through a farm gate, a wooden gate, at 45 miles an hour, and he's going through this meadow, and he sees at the end of the meadow there is a river, and he needs to stop. He slams on the brakes and just manages to come to a skittering, muddy halt, inches from the river. But the crow's gone. So he opens the door, a little bit apprehensively, and everything's fine. Still, beautiful still, English summer's day. If only he knew where the hell he was. Completely lost he is, in some random farmer's field, and his Ford Fiesta is sinking up to its axles in the mud. He's right next to a river. So he decides he's going to take control of the situation. He's a grown-up now. He's got a map in the car. He gets rummages around for the map to have a look at where Jesus! Ah! No! Get off! Get off! Get off! And he's careering and whacking at this bloody crow, and eventually he falls into the river. Thank you. Now, falling into the river might not seem a lot to you, Katie, because you can swim, but this boy, he can't swim. It's a summer's day, yes, but he can't swim, and he's flailing about, and he's splashing, and he's thrashing, and he's panicking, and his heart's in his mouth, and it's only when he manages to calm himself down that he realises that the river only comes up to his waist. Actually, the bed of the river's nice and oozy, it's nice and silty, and he feels the silt soaking in between his toes through his sandals, and the water soaking in through his jeans, sticking his underpants to him. It's quite nice. It's quite warm, isn't it? This sea, this river, he's quite into it. And it starts to move around him, begins to nudge him this way and that, like some kind of aquatic hula dancer, until it manages the flow of the river to build up and wind its watery arms around him and bear him up like a baby. Suddenly he's floating. He can't swim, might not be able to execute a good butterfly, but he can't float. Oh, he could float for Britain in the Olympics, he could. And he's floating down this river, and he's quite enjoying it because he's seeing the ducks bob past, the crap willows, and a boat, nice little boat, tiny wooden thing, nothing very exciting. He quite likes the look of it, so he reaches out languidly, manages to catch the boat, and deftly heaves himself into it, and then the boat seems to agree with him, slip free of its moorings, and off they go down the river, bobbing. And he thinks to himself, this is the life. He's looking up above him, and the sky is as blue as a robin's egg, and there's a black blob in it, circling around above his head. It's the crow. And the black blob gets a bit smaller as the crow flies higher, circling like a corkscrew going up into the sky. And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, until the boy can't see it anymore because it's melted into the blue.